Good Tuesday evening, high school sports fans. Joe Gilloway with Lingelstown Gazette Sports, back at the Orchard Street studio, welcoming you to the inaugural episode of Gazette Sports Chat, where we'll get to know participants from various realms of the high school sports world, the student athletes who play the games, the coaches who coach them, and others who contribute to the entire experience. I'll introduce our first ever guest in just a moment, as soon as we're done thanking our Lingelstown Gazette Sports Platinum sponsors who are responsible for bringing you tonight's show. Rickabaw's Electric, Capital Region Insurance Agency, Payer Apparel, Tonino's Pizza, The Tire Mart, Hoffman Ford, Ted's Bar and Grill, Modern Imprint, Sam Hartley Decking, Freedom Financial Wealth Management, Hershey Abstract Settlement Services, Lingelstown American Legion Post 272, Underdog Sports Bar and Grill, Crystal Bob at Howard Hannon Real Estate, and Team PA AAU Basketball. Thanks to those great local businesses for their continued support of Lingelstown Gazette Sports and our area's student athletes. We're also looking for sponsors for the upcoming 2024-2025 school year, and we'll start that probably midway through August when we start covering high school football. Along with student interns, we're also looking for and others who may enjoy helping us cover high school sports. Upcoming, we're going to have Luke Brown, young man who just graduated from Camp Hill, going off on to Rowan University. And this guy has been broadcasting and public address announcing from a very young age. And it's something that he aspires to do in his adult life. And I have confidence that he will. He's an awesome young guy. I've worked with him before. And we're looking forward to talking to Luke, hopefully next week. And then in 2 weeks, Coach Ford Chapman needs no introduction, a guy that's been around the sports scene as an athlete, as a coach, and he's done just about everything you can do in the high school sports realm and beyond. So we're going to have Coach Chapman in 2 weeks. So tonight's guest is a sports junkie. I can't think of any better term to apply to him, who is woven into the fabric of the high school sports scene in Delaware County, Pennsylvania, where he was born and raised. He is a longtime broadcaster and public address announcer for a variety of sports at all different levels, and a fixture in the greater Philadelphia area sports scene, where his broadcasting career started just shy of 50 years ago. And that man is Dave Burman. You see him here on your screen. Dave, how are you today? I don't know if I have you, Dave. Area sports scene, where his broadcasting career started just shy of 50 years ago. And that man is Dave Burman. You see him here on your screen. Dave, how are you today? Okay, Dave, I don't have you. Dave. I can hear me, but not you. John Velios is standing by to help us out. Okay. Bear with us, folks. It worked fine when we did a dry run last week, Dave. Do you hear me? Area sports scene, where his broadcasting career started just shy of 50 years ago. And that man is Dave Burman. You see him here on your screen. Dave, how are you today? Okay, Dave, I don't have you. Dave. I can hear me. Okay. Bear with us, folks. Okay, John Velios is saying he can't hear Dave. Dave, are you sure that you took your mute off? I don't think I can bring you onto the screen, but I can't stop you from muting yourself. Dave, I just texted you the link. And you're sure that you're unmuted, Dave. Dave, do you hear me? You can hear me, but I can't hear you. Okay, Dave's going to try to enter again here. And I apologize. We just tried this the other day with four guests, and it worked fine. Okay.
You got me?
Yeah, I don't know what was wrong. So we just lost 10 minutes.
All right, let's get with it. I appreciate the yeah. Okay, sorry about that. I
That's
love
okay.
I love your sponsors. Thank God for your advertisers.
Well, we'll get better at it as we go along.
Yeah, because I tried the phone invite and that went through, and it just.
I think the people at home can hear me, but I'm going to introduce you one more time.
Yeah, you sound crystal clear.
Since you're here, tonight's guest is a sports junkie who is woven into the fabric of the high school sports scene in Delaware County, Pennsylvania, and beyond. He was born and raised in Delaware County, a longtime broadcaster and public address announcer for a variety of sports at all different levels, and a fixture in the greater Philadelphia area sports scene, where his broadcasting career started just shy of 50 years ago. How's that, Dave? Did I nail it?
Yes, very good.
Okay. So our guest today for our inaugural episode number 1 is Dave Burman. Welcome, Dave, and thank you very much for joining us.
All right, live from Delco, and I'll never forget the first time we connected. Actually, I'm trying to get I have the light here so at least you can see my face.
Why are you sitting in the dark again?
It's just dark here. It's just I don't know why. It's just.
Is the bill paid?
Yes, we have the bill paid and everything, but
okay.
You can see me. Put my glasses off. My wife's going to put it. That don't work either. Take the thing. Maybe take. There. How about that?
That's a little better. Yeah, I like that better. It just kind of looks weird.
Ford Chapman called me in 2016 or 17.
Yes.
Guy up here who wants to get into broadcasting, and I want you to contact this guy because I had the experience of public address and play-by-play and all kinds of stuff in radio for 35 full years. And we contacted, and we connected, and here we are 8 years later. He
did the same with me, for me with you too. You got to meet this guy, Dave Burman, and he's really good. And anyway, so let's.
I grew up. Can I talk about myself a little bit?
Yeah, go ahead. There's nobody else to talk about.
Okay, all right. And I feel better with my glasses on. Anyway, I born March of 1958. Went to, yes, my wife's snickering in the background again. Okay, I'm just going to have to tell you my story here quickly.
Okay.
First, 10 years, Chester, PA, grew up there, and then we moved to Wallingford. That's why I ended up Nether Providence High School, which is now Strathaven. And then after that, 1976, went to York College and started dabbling in radio on WVYC Radio York. And then 1980, got a job at WSBA York for 4 years, WHP Harrisburg for a year. That was 84, 85, or the old Metron and Phil Scrignoli's place and everything.
The meltdown.
I was a part-time floor coordinator, bouncer at the good old RWDs.
RWDs.
Used to be Rumpelstiltskins too. Anyway, then I went to Carlisle for 4 years during the Billy Owens years, 4 straight state titles. And from 89, I left and went to Harrisonburg, Virginia on the radio 13 years. Met a lot of Pennsylvania people down there too. And then Mifflin County, got a job up in Mifflin County, summer 2002, was up there 13 years. In 2015, came home to work for the family business and doing a lot of freelance announcing. That's it in a nutshell. One of my biggest thrills over the years, public address announcer for Harrisburg High football.
I know. You were just doing that up until a couple of years ago.
Yes. Was there... Replaced the legendary late, great Mike Menser, one of the greatest of all time, the voice of Camp Curtin basketball. Also, I came in the 2007 season. They went to the state semis, lost a heartbreaker, did Harrisburg to Pittsburgh Central Catholic. And then I was there till 2020 and got really tied up because living down here, 2-hour trip. And I've been doing a lot of Chester football, and they're making the playoffs the last 3 years. It takes away a lot of Saturdays. Plus, so I'm also doing Coatesville Friday nights the last 4 years, public address announcer. So it's been just a lot and very busy in the winter too, Joey. And I've been on a few of your shows also, so really appreciate it.
So let's back up a little bit, just kind of give the folks at home an idea of, I guess, how you were molded. What did your parents do?
My dad, a pharmacist. There you go. Started Burman's Pharmacy, 1965, sports fanatic. My mom worked at home.
And you kind of came full circle decades later because you're working at the pharmacy, but your father no longer owns it, right?
Yeah, but actually, my wife said my mom was a mom, had to raise us 3 crazy kids. I'm the oldest, 66. Steve, who took over the pharmacy from my dad, 63. Then Marty has the health shop, Burman's Health Shop, Brookhaven, which I'm working out now. So yeah, just got into sports, Joe. Just became a sports fanatic. And you grew up in the Philly area too, so you know the guys we had back in the '60s. Great announcers, the Flyers, Gene Hart, Dan Baker of the Phillies,
By Psalm
of the Phillies, Bill Campbell, Andy Musser, 76ers, 88-year-old. He's still hanging in there. Looks great. Sonny Hill did Sixer basketball. We had the Eagles, and before him, the late, great Charlie Swift, you may recall. And then he passed away, and then Merrill Reese took over in 77, and the rest is history. He's still there. Dan Baker, 52 years, Phillies PA announcer, and Lou Nolan, Flyer PA announcer, 52 years. So it's hard to break into the Philly area market.
Yes, it is. Now, I guess this is kind of a canned question, but I have to ask it. What got you into sports? I mean, you started your let's call you do broadcasting and public address. Let's just call it all broadcasting, just for the sake of the interview. You started your broadcasting career in '76 when you got to York College. Yeah. Did you have a desire before that to get into that realm?
Gene Hart was my ultimate idol. 67, November 4th. I'm watching TV, old Channel 48. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm watching a game on a Saturday night, and I saw a big C. It looked like a horseshoe at center ice or skating around. It was the Flyers and the Canadiens' first televised broadcast ever, TV, Flyers hockey. And it was a Stu Nahan who was Captain Philadelphia for Channel 48, like a cartoon. He hosted a cartoon show. And I just wanted to, and Gene Hart, the announcer, he shoots, he scores. He was so electrifying.
Electrifying.
I just wanted to be the next Gene Hart. I wanted to get into the games for free. I just wanted to be that guy.
So I do know one game for sure, and I'm sure I'm going to have to jump ahead here probably 4 years. I saw you in the background of a Greg Gumbel interview with Jim Fry, the Kansas City Royals manager during 1980 when they played the Phillies in the World Series. What were you doing there? I mean,
Game 6. It was my first year at AM 910 WSBA. The news director was Ron Corbin, who eventually went to KYW News Radio 1060. The sports director, John Beakley. John still lives in Lancaster. I think Berks County still follows me on Facebook. And the game was not going to start till like 8 o'clock. They wanted somebody to go down there and get some raw sound bites, and I was the guy. I got the job the summer of 1980 after college, and then all of a sudden they said they knew I lived down there, and they said if the Phillies lose Game 6, then you go spend the night with your family. And back then, York from Chester and the Wallingford seemed like a long, long way. Now it's like nothing. And they gave me a Marantz recorder. I went down there. I got on the field. It was unbelievable. I was walking around the pregame show, and I'm thinking to myself, I wonder if I could get on national TV in the pregame. I saw Bryant Gumbel. It was intimidating.
Was it Bryant Gumbel? Okay. I said Greg.
Get the interview in front of the Royal dugout, and I just, the afro back then, it's archived on YouTube, Philly Game 6, and I just pretended I didn't want to look too obvious, and I was looking like I.
You looked a little obvious.
Yeah, pretty much. I would go like this. There's a police officer standing behind me, one of the Philly's finest, and I was like, "Oh, is this guy going to throw me out?" But I had
once you're on the field, they're not going to stop you.
Right, I had my press pass and a Marantz recorder with me too.
Right.
I was just looking around, and I got on, and I didn't get to be on, announced, but you could see me poking my face on national TV,
right?
BBC TV. The rest is history. Phillies win that game 4-1. It was electrifying. Got some
October of 80.
October 21st, 1980. I'm 22 years old. I can't get a bigger thrill. First World Championship ever. I'm on the field. I'm in the dugout.
Fine when we did a dry run last week, Dave. Do you hear me?
Bob Walk and Mike Schmidt. I got Manny Trio. I got some one-on-one interviews. I have them all archived. I have a bunch on my YouTube channel, and it was just it was an experience I'll never forget. So I was kind of spoiled at 22 years old.
Boy, they don't win that World Series without Manny Trio. How about it?
Oh, yeah,
that throw he made against the Astros, to home plate, the cutoff throw he made. Oh man!
We had the year before we had Danny Ozark did a great job. 76, 77, 78. Won the NL East. We lost to the Reds in 76. We got swept. 77, Black Friday, the Dodgers. 78, we lost to the Dodgers again in the National League Championship Series. Back then, it was great. You just go to the semifinals or the championship series. So then 79, we get Pete Rose to try to take us over the hump, and we were terrible. Our pitching was bad. Pete had a great year, and then it was Danny Ozark was a more low-key guy, and they wanted somebody with some fire and get on people's butts, the mouth that roared, and they fired Danny, brought in Dallas Green, and in a great month of September. And the next year, not the greatest year, Joe. It was right. We only won like 88 games.
Nip and tuck.
But he just reamed those guys out, and those guys were stuck in their ways. Mike Schmidt and Gary Maddox, Larry Boa, and they were just kind of like, and they find that they won the last series that year, 1980, beat the Montreal Expos, and that was at the Expo Park.
Mike Schmidt home run.
Mike Schmidt homer. And then the Astros in an unbelievable 5-game series.
Unbelievable.
And then 6 games it was anticlimactic in a way, but they got the championship finally. And then it took 28 years later, 2008, they finally won it again with Brad Lidge and those guys.
Right.
And that's it. We got 2 championships for the Phillies. We got 2 Stanley Cups with the Flyers, 74 and 75, Broad Street Bullies. Eagles have won 4.
World Championships.
47, 48.
60 with Bednarik.
In 2017.
Right.
Chuck actually was on the 48 team too, 40-18. And then we won it again. Then the 76ers, 67 with Wilt. They traded him away after the next year. And then 83 is our last one there. So for Philadelphia Pro Sports, it's been a struggle.
It's been a struggle. So let's kind of connect the dots a little here. Let's move up to kind of Central PA, because I think that a lot of our followers, our viewers here, how did you get to Central PA? I know that you're one, probably a gig that it has to be one of your more enjoyable ever, was to do the radio for Carlisle. How did that happen?
Going to college in York, my connections are right there.
Right.
WSBA was the station, so I got there. It was a great training ground. I didn't get a chance to do play-by-play. It took a year to get on the radio. You had a guy named Bob Shipley, the legend. He was our voice instructor, and he taught us to read for meaning, the late, great Bob Shipley. So I was there from 80 to 84. John Wilsbach, I remember when he came in, I showed him the ropes.
What a voice he has.
John Wilsbach, look at a career he's had.
Wow.
My buddy Joe Torrin showed him the ropes a little bit. Yeah, I mean, when he got there in 82 or something, Joe's now refereeing in Central Pennsylvania. Then I got a job at 80. It moved up a little bit, 84, 85, and there was a news/sports for a car and covering games for WHP Radio, AM 580. And that was there a year. Then they laid everybody off. I forget. Chris Fickus was my boss. Had guys like met Albie Oxenrider on the TV side and Doug Sifko. We get Hershey Bear games, Press Row Carlisle against Chester 85 state semis, among some of the other games. And then 80, then they let everybody off, and then I got a job 85, 86 in Carlisle, and the rest is history. 4C, 86, 87, 88, 89, 4 years there.
Okay, so now I know you're going to give me an honest answer here. That's why I brought you on. Yeah. Compare those Billy Owens Carlisle teams, because that was an entirely different era, okay, to some of the better teams of today. I can't think of a specific.
You have unbelievable Chester teams over the years. You've had unbelievable Philadelphia Catholic League.
I thought Reading was very good 2 years ago. Reading was very good 2 years ago.
I would rank them in the top 5 historically in the state of Pennsylvania. Carlisle.
That Carlisle team with Billy Owens?
As a program, actually number one. Number one, a public school from a small town to win 4 consecutive state titles, beat 4 Delaware County teams in the state semis. Chester in 85 at Hershey Park Arena. 86 in the semis was Matt Blunden and Ridley High School. And I think that might have been at Hershey. Then, I mean, maybe the farm show. Then 87 Chester. I went to that game, obviously. Chester Carlisle was at Reading, Burke, the Geiger Complex. Then 88 was at the Hershey Park Arena.
88, Billy Owens played point guard, a 6'8" All-American point guard against Pitt Central Catholic. The guy that was covering him, trying to steal the ball from him, was a foot shorter than him.
Yeah, but they were just so well schooled.
Do you remember that, though? He was bringing the ball up.
The game, it's archived. Raw Sports put it on his page.
Lord.
And, it was unbelievable. The toughest game they had throughout the playoffs was Chester, who got off the state semis, again at Hershey. And Chester got off to an 11-2 lead. Lebo called a timeout, and Carlisle never panicked, slowly came back and won the game 61-53.
And it's worth noting, too, Dave, that a lot of people, maybe more casual fans or people that were around back then, they call it the Billy Owens, Jeff Lebo era. But Lebo was only there for the first year.
84-85. Billy was a freshman. Lebo was a senior. The state semifinal that year, Lebo missed the game with a broken pinky finger. I was there covering the state quarterfinal game, 85. They played an unbelievable Coatesville team. Head coach, the Silver Fox, late great Ross Kershey. And Lebo, they blew out Coatesville. Jody McMillan on that Coatesville team, Marty Eggleston. I think Ricky Hicks was on that squad. And Coatesville, it was at the farm show. I think it was, or Hershey Park. And it was like a home game for Carlisle, 2,000 people there. So, but he broke his pinky finger. Lebo broke his pinky finger in that game against Coatesville, and he tried his best to play against Chester, but the doctor said no. Mm-hmm. And Chester comes in overconfident. Billy was a freshman, and Carlisle blew Chester out in the state finals.
Carlisle still had state semis. Carlisle still had Dave Lebo as a coach.
Great coach.
And they had a lot of other players too, you know.
They had Todd Ewell, and they had Lee Woodall, went on to the NFL, won a world championship with the 49ers. They had Kurt Gramlich. They had guys like Taryn Arter. I posted on the Carlisle.
Taryn Arter, yep.
Yeah, those guys were just unbelievable players. So 85 to 88. Now, Jeff started 4 years, couldn't get over the hump.
Yeah.
I don't think they ever won. They didn't win a playoff game. They got knocked out in the first round, 82, when Jeff was a freshman. First round state.
I think Central Dauphin might have beaten them one year in the early 80s in districts, maybe.
Probably the districts. 83 first round game. Jeff was a sophomore, scored 34 points at Chester. First round game. Chester beat them. That was Chester's first ever state title team. Eventually, 83. They had to get by Carlisle. I think it was double overtime. First round at Chester, and then Chester went on to win the state title that year. And
they may be our best two players, Central PA players ever, and they played side by side with one another. Yeah. And if anybody's watching, I'm sure there are going to be some arguments. We had a lot of other good players, but Lebo and Billy Owens were amazing. So how about this? Talk about some of your favorite gigs. I mean, you've had so many different gigs, so many different sports, different levels. Where'd you have the most fun?
Announcing state championship games, and I didn't do very many. I did the Carlisle 88 basketball, was and through that covered the four of them. And then the Lewistown girls basketball team, Lewistown that merged into Mifflin County 2011. They went to the state finals, Lewistown girls 2004. Announced that game, lost a heartbreaker to Allentown Central Catholic. And that was that's the only Mifflin County team when I was up there. The baseball team, Lewistown, won it summer 2002, and I just moved there like in maybe a month or so after that. But just announcing state final games.
That's the pinnacle.
A lot of Delco hoop games down here. Just too many games to mention, Joe.
Right.
There's too many games that, DelcoHoops.com, I did a ton of playoff games, Delaware County teams, and it's just after a while it becomes a blur. But, those Carlisle days were unbelievable. Mifflin County, it was good to see them when they were, two schools. Indian Valley, Lewistown had much more success than the one school team now. They've had going into their 14th year. But and that Harrisonburg, Virginia, I was press row for Allen Iverson's state championship game.
Wow.
His junior year basketball. He won football and basketball that year. It was 92, 93. In his basketball game, I was pressed row, got the box score. Iverson beat a team from Richmond, blank right now, John Marshall from Richmond. And they had 3 classes at that time. And, Bethel High School is where Iverson went to from Hampton, and they won the state championship. So I was there press row for that, even though my radio station in Harrisonburg, Virginia was in the Shenandoah Valley, was up in the mountains and stuff. It was like 3 hours away from Hampton, Newport News, and that. But I wanted a really good basketball in Virginia too. So
I watched Iverson's state championship football game. It was during a rain delay or a rain out for a Phillies game. So they put the whole game on. And he would have been in the NFL if he wasn't in the NBA. I mean, that's how good he was.
He played street ball football, man. He was
unbelievable cannon arm. Maybe he would have been a D-back in the NFL. I don't know. He probably didn't have the size to be a quarterback. But and you know how cool he was? They put a microphone right in front of him as soon as the game was over. They said, tell us about this game, how big of a game it was. Or he was cool as a cucumber. He said, it's time to go get one in basketball now.
Yes.
That was all he said. No rah-rah, no braggadociousness. Just it's time to go win one in basketball.
And that was a thrill. Earlier in that day, that it was March of 1993, we had a local team. The only team I'd covered in a state championship game down at Spotswood High School in the small town of Penn Laird outside of Harrisonburg, Virginia. And they won the state championship in the AA game. And the next game after that was the AAA game, Iverson versus, and they had Tony Rutland on that Bethel team from Hampton. Iverson's teammate who went to Wake Forest had a great career.
So what do you enjoy more? I said a little while ago that there's a distinct difference between broadcasting. Broadcasting is comprised of play-by-play and analysis. You're either an analyst or a play-by-play guy. And then you have public address announcing where you just, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You do the starting lineups. You tell everybody who scored or how many yards they had on a run. I'm just trying to make the distinction for those what do you enjoy more? One or the other or both?
I like doing public address better.
I thought you did. I thought you did. It doesn't entail as much.
No.
But you have a totally different impact on the game.
Yeah. I like the public address. I had a great, with Harrisburg, been doing Chester High the last 10 years, Chester High football.
Mm-hmm.
Then I do Chester Charter basketball. As I said, Coatesville, going into my 4th year for football. I do a lot of different teams. So, yeah. But one of the best broadcasts was with you, state quarterfinals.
Oh, my God.
That team was in Bethlehem.
What?
I think it was Moravian College.
Moravian College. That was the state quarterfinals.
State quarterfinals. You and I drove up, not that far, maybe an hour and 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's about how far it was for me.
The state quarterfinal game of softball and Central Dauphin against North Penn and Sam Gress against Matty Volpe in a 1-0 win, 9 or 10 innings?
11 innings.
11 innings.
It went 4 extra innings.
Yes. And then you guys, Central Dauphin, eventually went on to win the state title.
Game-winning double by Tyler White. It was kind of hit like a base hit, but it was hit so hard, and I think the outfielders were up a little bit. It got through the center fielder and the left fielder. But anyway, it was one of those games that it was a shame to see anybody lose it. There's a lot of games like that. And Matty Volpe was a sophomore. And I really think that she and her North Penn Knights would have probably won back-to-back after that. But the next year was COVID, and then they did win one 2 years after that, 2021. But you and I were able to stand there and watch the embrace between Sam Gress, the senior, the grizzled veteran, and Maddie Volpe, who was just kind of so upset, just bawling, and Sam had her arms around her, was embracing her. And I remember Mike Gress, the father of Sam, and Mr. Volpe, the father of Maddie, kind of embracing. Yes. What a scene that was. It was right behind home plate. What a scene that was.
It's hard to win state championships at any level in any sport, and the Central Dauphin got one right there.
Yeah.
And they're still tough. And North Penn's won, 3, I think, in the last 5 years?
They just knocked Central Dauphin out this year in the in the state semis, and
that was a wild game.
Oh man, it was. Yeah, I think they were down 7-0, 6 or 7-0, and then Central Dauphin came back and either tied it or went up one. We were there. We were covering it. What a game! I should remember the details more specifically than that because it was only a few months ago. But what a game it was,
Yep.
And in the end, the cream usually rises, and the cream, at least the cream program in this state, is North Penn.
Yeah.
And it's hard to beat them,
Little Lansdale.
Yes, Lansdale
County. Yep. And they were a great big school.
Are they the best sports school in Eastern PA? I mean, North Allegheny is probably the best in Western PA. All around sports school, all different sports, boys, girls.
I don't know. That's a very tough question because we have.
Who would be better?
All around sports. Oh man, you got me down here in the Philly area. Do you want to look boys and girls basketball and baseball? Newman Goretti, do they count? I mean, they won a bunch of state championships. Newman Goretti, the Philadelphia Catholic League.
They just don't go as deep as North Penn.
No,
with the amount of programs that they have.
Chester's won 8 state championships in basketball. Been to the state finals themselves 18 times. Chester High boys basketball, and then they've won 2 or 3 in girls track state championships. So I mean, for Chester,
it's a shame they're staying relevant while getting a lot of their best players cherry picked.
Yes, Strathaven has won 2 state. The only Delaware County team to win a high school football state championship did it twice, 99 and 2000. Dan Connor was one of the stars as a freshman on the 2000 team, went on the Penn State all-time leading tackler. Now working at Penn State. Strathaven's won 5 in soccer, boys soccer, 2 in girls soccer. It's been a while though. They've won in all. Strathaven's probably the best overall for state championships in Delaware County. But we have lacrosse down here too, and Radnor's won a bunch of them. Garnet Valley. So it's just. But yeah, North Allegheny out west, just incredible.
They're inarguably the best sports school in this state. I don't even think there's an argument. I mean, if they go a year without a state championship, and I think Cumberland Valley is probably the equivalent for Cumberland County, Central Dauphin probably in Dauphin County. Then you have Manheim Town. Each county has their school kind of like that,
right?
But none of those teams measure up to North Allegheny.
Harrisburg High has had some unbelievable sports teams over the years, and they have won 2 boys basketball state titles.
98 and 2002.
Yeah, 2002. Beat Uniontown 2002. And then they beat Newcastle 98. Tim Brown was he was the enforcer on that 98 Harrisburg team. And, his son Kevin is just an absolute beast for the Harrisburg Cougars.
I think he'll end up in the NFL.
Yeah, he looks like a nice kid. I'm sure you've met him in person.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Very grounded. But he's all business on the field. But Harrisburg, for example, not that much. Central, how many? That's it. 2 state titles, I think, for Harrisburg team and it's basketball.
Yeah.
And then what about the Central Dauphin? We've had.
I think they have 14, but wrestling's a big chunk of those. They had baseball in 97. They had back-to-back track and field in 04 and 05. They were within 1 throw of 3 in a row, a shot put that landed like a foot or 2 out of bounds, and that would have been 3 in a row. Of course, they just had girls soccer, a couple years ago, which is so but state championships are so elusive. They're just so hard to get. Cumberland Valley, they're kind of the cream, and my feelings are that they're the best in this area, and they still don't win a lot of state championships.
I know. I mean, they won a couple in girls.
They won 4 girls basketball.
Four.
2002 with Carla Thomas, and then
Three-peat
in 12, 13, 14, was it?
The Jaycott sisters.
Yes.
That era.
Yeah, Kelly was around for all 3, of course. Yeah. Once she graduated, her sisters all played very well, had great careers, but nobody else besides Kelly was able to kind of lead their team to a state championship. And nice family too. I mean, we're going to be able to watch the youngest sister play at Penn State here. She's an incoming freshman, and she's going to be really good, you know.
So do you want to do if you have any other questions, or do you want to maybe do like a preview of the upcoming season for maybe football, or do you want to kind of wait on that?
Let's talk about football a little bit.
Well, you're having your big show the 11th of August. That's awesome.
We have 2 shows every year, Linglestown Gazette Sports. We do our own show, and that will be the 18th of August at one of our top sponsors, the Linglestown American Legion, Post 272 North Mountain Road in suburban Harrisburg. It's a Harrisburg address. But and then I have 7 local coaches committed to that, and we do that every year. And then I partner with Pennsylvania Football News and Billy Splain the prior week, the 11th, and we're going to be at Aruga's on Allentown Boulevard. They have a real nice kind of an outdoor area there at Aruga's, and they're going to host us and feed the kids, feed all the coaches and players. So thanks for bringing that up. Yeah.
Me and my honey been there a couple of times. Great place, Aruga's.
And then I have, as far as I know, I just talked to Eric Epler yesterday. I'll have Eric Epler and Dan Sostek. They're probably the cream of the sports department there at Penn Live. They'll be helping me again with the football show. And there's some storylines up here, some subplots. And you're familiar with them. You're aware of them. First of all, Harrisburg, first of all, is very, very, very good. Okay. I don't know if that's a subplot. That's just what it is. I mean,
even without Mickens and Dressen, right?
They would have been good. Well, Sheffy.
Deontay Sheffy. Yes.
They just brought in, I don't know how, but or the specifics of it, but they got Messiah Mickens from Trinity transferred in. He's a Penn State commit. And then Deontay Sheffy came down from State College. Has he committed yet? I think Syracuse might be on his radar, maybe his top. But these are 2 probably all-state players.
And they're juniors.
Added to an already fabulous team. They have an experienced kind of stalwart offensive line. They have Koch, the Elias Koch, I think will be All-American when it's all said and done. He's all-state already. Wide receiver.
The great Charlie Fortney is his uncle.
Yes, he is.
I saw Charlie's last high school game in person.
Did you really? Yeah, he was a stud. I heard he was a really good football player too.
Second-round states, 89. So.
I was told from those closest, the Steel High people, that Charlie Fortney was also a really good football player. But he just was such a basketball guy that he chose basketball. But the story, the subplot, or the sub story is that Sean Lee, Harrisburg's quarterback, may or may not be eligible, and I don't know enough to make any real sound kind of conclusions. But so allegedly, he has already played 4 years or had 4 years of eligibility used up. And he's going into his 5th year because he had a year of eligibility at Susquehanna Township and then 3 already at Harrisburg. This kid's been starting since he was a freshman.
Yeah.
Quarterback. He started kind of by default because they needed a quarterback. I mean, this kid's just an athlete. He can do anything. He can play anything. He's a great young man, good student. Maybe their best basketball player. Maybe not. I'm not sure, but he's a really good basketball player. And I think that they can still be very good without Sean Lee. And I'm not here to say that he's not playing. It's going to go to the courts, I believe. It's going to be in District 3's hands here next. And I I don't think it has to even go any further than District 3. I think District 3 will make a ruling, and then if it doesn't work out to Harrisburg's benefit, meaning if they rule against him playing, then I know that Harrisburg will have some legal counsel that will try to overturn that decision if it is made that way.
Yeah, he's a big part, obviously huge part of that team. But right now, Harrisburg is favored. They'll represent, and I'm just jumping the gun. With that talent, they got to be favored to represent the West in the state finals.
I think with or without Lee. I don't mean to interrupt you. I really do. I think they're that good.
They have enough athletes, yeah. But Mickens and Sheffy, are they going to be eligible for the PIAA?
Yeah, well, we do know that they both ran track. At least they were on the track roster last spring,
right,
which would make them, in theory,
how hard people,
according to the letter of the law, would make them eligible for the postseason. Yeah, I don't know enough to know what's going on there. I know that Eric Epler, he's the guy around here because he's Penn Live. They're our biggest media outlet, and he's kind of like, if somebody knows at Penn Live, it will be Eric Epler. And Eric Epler, I'm just going to say he's working on that story.
Yeah,
I know that he is. He's working on that story because that's his job. If anybody's going to find out what's going on behind the scenes, it will be Eric Epler from Penn Live.
We have a new Herzog, new sports editor there for Harrisburg Patriot, Penn Live. Coming in from Philly. So you're up in the Philly area, Bucks County, Montgomery County. So, yeah, in the East, football, 6A, whoever wins probably between Imhotep is now 6A, St. Joe's Prep. St. Joe's Prep is just an absolute machine.
Talk about Roman Catholic.
Yeah, they're 5A.
Yeah, but they've really put themselves on the map.
They're loaded. They gave Imhotep in that District 12 championship game the past couple of years, very, very good game. So they will play our District 1, the huge Southeastern PA, the District 1 champ plays the District 12 champ in the state semis. 6A has been St. Joe's Prep.
I kind of feel, Dave, like definitely the private schools, the Catholic schools or any kind of private school, way more than the public schools. If they decide that they want to get better at something, it doesn't take long. Look at St. Joe's Prep in basketball. They've really improved over the last 2 or 3 years.
They were state championship quality last year, but they only take 2 Philadelphia Catholic schools in 6A.
Do you remember when Archbishop Wood was just a football school or primarily a football school? Yeah. And they just decided, somebody said, hey, let's get really good in basketball too. Yeah, really good in basketball.
Yeah. John Moscow, they got John in. They just can't get over the hump in a way. I mean, they did win the state 2017 with Colin Gillespie, Villanova, now in the NBA. And
well, their girls program is one of the best in the state. They've gone a couple years though, haven't they? Yeah. Kind of felt like they were winning like 2 out of 3 there for a while.
Yeah, they won. They won again.
Oh, did they win again this year?
Yeah, they won a ton. And they then you got Archbishop Carroll down here, and you've seen them, and Cardinal O'Hara, you've seen them. The girls 6A, they're going to be tough to beat also. So yeah, it's just I wish the PIAA would let all the kids play. Stop saying one kid can, one kid can't, but it's a different scenario.
Well, if there's an argument against, this is my opinion, of course, against the way that PIAA has handled the, let's call it the transfer and the recruiting, and that all kind of comes under the same umbrella, I think. It's that they don't seem to be consistent with it, which I think that's what you were just trying to say there, right?
Right.
I'm sure they're trying to be. I mean, you got to look at those situations case by case.
Well, you and I get on the message boards, Facebook, and we make our comments.
The only way to really make things kind of even, or so that the privates and publics kind of have the same set of rules to work with, is to allow the public schools to do the same type of recruiting and the same type of transfers.
They do that. New Jersey, Delaware, they can do that.
Let's just say, and I don't want to get in trouble. I'm just going to throw out No, okay, Lower Dauphin, because that just came to my mind. Let's just say that there's a kid that their home school is Hershey because they live in Hershey, or their home school is Central Dauphin because they live in that area, and they want to go to Lower Dauphin, okay, or they want to play for Lower Dauphin, play sports, and go to school there. Of course, you got to go to school where you play sports. Why shouldn't they be able to? You know, and I know the argument will be that because they don't live there, but that would be the way to kind of level the playing field versus the private schools, I think,
I agree. But what are you going to do?
Now, what would happen, though, is I think a school like Cumberland Valley, they're the cream right now. I mentioned it 15, 20 minutes ago. Mike Craig, the athletic director, phenomenal AD. He has great coaches. And it would be easy for them. They're already really good. It would be easy for them to just add a player here or there. They might need one or two football players to get them over the hump. They might need just one girls basketball player. It would probably be a lot easier for Cumberland Valley, a school like Cumberland Valley, to bring in that player or two versus Palmyra or Camp Hill, or you know what I mean? So that's what would make it tough for the smaller schools that don't have the facilities like Cumberland Valley's facilities are unbelievable, Dave.
The University of Cumberland Valley.
Unbelievable. I mean, you walk in there at 4:00 on a Tuesday when all the sports programs are in there lifting weights and, in the big gym, in the small gym, it's just buzzing with athleticism, buzzing with great athletes that are working hard, and they have phenomenal coaches. And there's some other really good ADs in the area. Chris Hunter from Central Dauphin does a great job. He's got a bunch of, that guy's got that handing out the medal thing, down to a science when it comes to district championships and a couple state championships. And they've lost a couple state championships too. Two in boys volleyball, both in North Allegheny, and then they lost to Emmaus in field hockey in 2020. So my point is that Central Dauphin and Chris Hunter aren't far behind Cumberland Valley and their whole program,
Right.
So
yeah, just a lot of great schools in your area, small schools. I don't know how you cover them all, but you do a great
well, I don't. We do the best we can. We just try to find the schools that want us there, because we don't charge anything. Mechanicsburg, we like to go over there.
Let's say Harrisburg, Halifax, for example. Let's say they contact you and they have a big Tri-Valley League game against Greenwood or something like that. But what they should do to help fund that is get sponsors from those areas.
Absolutely. Yes.
So they can do that. That'd be pretty cool. Like if you game of the week, maybe you can expand your staff, or you actually don't have to do all the games. You can get some other people to help you out.
The challenge there is on any. Are you talking football or just any sport?
Basketball.
Okay. Well, the challenge there in basketball is that half of the season I'm doing public address for Central Dauphin girls.
Oh, that's right. So you know what it's about too.
That's essentially half of the regular season. You know what I mean? Because half their games are home games, roughly. So once we get away, when the Central Dauphin girls are playing on the road, I have the opportunity to do some games. But I don't like saying no. Like if somebody would reach out to me, a head coach or an athletic director from Halifax, I'd probably go up and do their game. But like you said, at some point, when you're bringing volunteers, you have to feed them. You may have to put gas in their car. Somebody has to pay for that stuff.
Let's get some sponsors, man.
Right.
Yeah. Go to Liverpool and Joe Blow's Body Shop. That was my favorite back in the day. Joe's Body Shop and fictional, fictional.
So what are your current gigs? Do you have any current regular gigs? You're doing Chester football?
Yeah, I'm ready for Chester football Saturdays, home games.
Right.
Year number 10. Coatesville Friday nights, year number 4. I'm doing actually this Saturday and Sunday coming up. We have a historic. It's called the Delco Baseball League. Been around since 1903. My nephew plays for Upper Darby. It's pretty competitive. It's like a semi-pro league. And my nephew, the youngest one, Sammy, who plays baseball at Catholic University.
Sammy Burman.
Sammy Burman. So my brother said, hey, man, they're playing their games at Cardinal O'Hara High School. They have a beautiful field, public address system. So he wants me to come out. And ladies and gentlemen, now batting number 4, second baseman, Joe Gilloway.
That sounds like fun, man. That sounds like a good time.
Yeah, well, you have some great. So I'm doing that. And then basketball season, Chester Charter, boys home game, Strathaven, Mr. Freelance, all over the place.
Our treasure up here for public address is probably Bob Schellenberg.
Bob Schellenberg,
the voice.
AA.
And I'll tell you what, Rick Fox is pretty darn good, man. I think a lot of him as a public address announcer. And I've, done stuff side by side with him. We share the press box that some nights when I'm doing a broadcast, like a live broadcast, and I'm kind of almost shoulder to shoulder with him. He's doing the PA. And now he's doing some state championship stuff too, some PIAA stuff. He's really good.
Oh, he's awesome. I'm just I know Carlisle's got a good PA guy also in sports. Not sure about Steel High football. I think they have a legendary guy there.
I don't remember who does Steel High football.
No, just love the and Garth Smallwood. He's the guy that replaced. Well, I couldn't make all the games over the last 9 years, and Garth would fill in. So Garth has been doing it full time since 2021.
Right.
So, Kurt Smallwood's brother. Kurt does a great job on TV.
Yeah, very, very good job.
Coach Thompson.
Jeff Thompson, yeah.
The ABC network. It's an ABC TV or Charlie Fortney network.
Yeah.
Or whatever you call it. I forget the name of the network, but it's awesome.
What an addition Coach Smallwood has been to that crew. I mean, he just started a couple, 2-3 years ago.
Had some great interviews with Kurt over the years, a former Harrisburg coach, Carl Rachelson, basketball. Smooth operators, man.
He's down in South Florida now, Rachelson.
Yeah. Carl Rachelson. Yes. But I used to love covering games at Steel High. So do you. Ancient facility. The Marty Benkovic.
War Veterans Stadium.
Yeah. But the basketball court, Marty Benkovic, legendary coach, got a chance to
Benkovic Court.
The place Randy Wilson would know. The old Steel High Field House, I think it was called. Al Gornick's Field House.
Yes.
I met all those guys back in the in 1980.
The rules were there were no rules down there. That place was wild.
Eddie Albert, my main man.
Yeah.
Late great Eddie Albert.
Those Albert guys, boys are men, of course. They did a lot for Steel High sports.
And
they kind of started with the kids young and handed them off once the youth was over.
Exactly.
And
I'm glad there's people still doing it. The coaches that follow us, too many to mention. And I used to love Rick Binder, though.
Nobody's better. I'm telling you, Dave. I think I sound like a homer a lot of times. I think Rick Binder could go toe to toe with anybody when it comes to coach. His district championship in 2015, when he beat Susquehanna Township and Bishop, clearly, Steel High was the third best team out of those three. Susquehanna Township and Bishop McDevitt, and he beat them back to back for the state championship. Unbelievable.
He was the life of the party, I tell you that much.
Yeah. We got to get him on this show.
That'd be awesome to have him on.
Very bright man.
He's a Reading guy. Actually played against Chester in the 72.
Jim Gano.
Jim Gano was the coach.
Yeah.
And Chester went to the state finals off the Farrell by 1 point. But in the state semis, they beat Reading. And Binder was on that team.
Point guard.
Good ball player. Then in 83, coached against Chester. State semifinals. Chester beat Reading 63-53. And Chester won their first state title in boys basketball in 1983 after going 0-7 in the state finals. You know that. And then on that, Reading and different and Steel High and just unbelievable career at Steelton High Spire.
We got to get Rick Perez on this show too.
What more can you say about Rick? I mean,
he accomplished so much. I don't want to say that in a real brief amount of time, but he didn't have like a really, really long career. Now he's coaching his son. He's an assistant coach at
Muhlenberg, yeah.
Muhlenberg under Matt Flowers, who used to assist him at Reading. Kind of another full circle situation. But boy, did he just accomplish so much. And how long did he head coach?
He was, I think, 14 years.
Took a while. 3 state championships.
2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So,
and then he won in 17. He won what? 3 or 4?
2001 and 2021. And then they beat Archbishop Wood then in the finals.
Yeah.
Richland, 2017, public versus public there. And then 2 years ago, an unbelievable game again.
Oh, Dave, I couldn't. I almost passed out. I couldn't even breathe. And the cool thing about that game was I called my cousin Keith, and I really wasn't. I had a press pass, and I like to sit like as close as I can get to the center court and right on the floor and all that. And I thought maybe I'll just go sit in the stands, and just be like a fan, because you can't really root. You're not supposed to root when you're on press row. So I took my cousin down there, and we kind of sat up, like we weren't like real close to the floor, and we were up in like the corner, and we were surrounded by Reading fans. We were stuck right in the midst of the Reading. What a fun time we had.
Reading basketball. Yeah, Roman was shorthanded 3 guys that game.
Yes, they were.
2 starters and one of their subs, and they still almost beat Reading.
Overtime. Who was that guard that Roman had? Where'd he go?
He went to Rob, not Rob Wright.
God, was he good? Oh my goodness. You know who I'm talking about, though. He was clearly their best player.
Yeah. Do people post comments on the thread? Can you see comments?
I think so.
Because it's pretty cool what you're doing here. Let me see. I can actually look at the feed.
Okay. Yeah. We have Anthony Andreoli said Strawberry Mansion. Lowell Richards watching. Lowell Rickard's watching. Anthony Andreoli, and they're 2 guys that follow us at Linglestown Gazette Sports.
Yeah,
we really appreciate that. We have probably a dozen or so kind of regulars that if you're going to follow Linglestown Gazette Sports, you really have to like high school sports. And I say all the time, like people say to me, maybe this could really take off, and it's just hard to get people to really embrace high school sports. I think
you got all kinds. So you're going to do the show every week, right?
We're going to do it every week.
Every week. Every Tuesday at around 7:00.
We hope for that. Next week it'll be Luke Brown.
Yes.
Camp Hill going to Rowan, and it'll be Tuesday at 7:00. I just talked to him today to confirm. And then hopefully the week after we'll have Ford Chapman, and that's just going to be. You never know where that's going to go. I mean, he is so accomplished. And I mean, how many people do you know? He's the only one I've ever heard of that won a state championship as a player. And he was a quarterback too, not end of the bench.
Right.
As an assistant coach at Central Dauphin in 2011 and as a head coach at McDevitt in 1995.
Yep.
That is a resume.
That was McDevitt's only state title.
Up until 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm
looking for. I got the state final article ready.
We're going to talk with Chapman about uniforms.
Xavier Brown.
Yes.
Was the guard for Roman.
Yes, he was.
And I don't know where he is now. And we try to keep up to date, Joe, but there's so many. Xavier, I think he might be at St. Joe's. And Xavier Brown. It's kind of funny how my little kid. He is at, now he's at James Madison.
I mean, he was the player that just kept them. Reading, to me, they were kind of a sum of their parts. So many different players stepped up for Reading in that game. And he, the guy you're talking about, from Roman. He was like, if they didn't have him, they wouldn't have had a chance.
Yeah, he's a St. Joe's, 6'2", 165.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: who's your all-time favorite PA announcer? Do you have a favorite?
Professional sports, and I try to put snippets of them on. Used to love the Dodger announcer. Baseball, football, did it all. John Ramsey.
I would have no. I don't know who he is.
You don't remember John Ramsey?
No.
He would do the echo. Remember the great Dodger team
Yeah.
in the 70s? He would
Shavas Ravine. So
he
you
would
probably
go
like
Ravine.
conducive to echo down there in the ravine, you
He
know?
would go first baseman, and they had the echo. Remember? First baseman.
Yeah.
Number 6, X. Steve, Eve, Garvey, RV.
Yeah.
Just had the echo. Davey, Avey, Lopes, Opes.
What a team that was, huh? Bill Russell, Lopes,
Coming up in
Garvey,
bullpen,
Ron Say.
Mudcat Grant. I go with
Mudcat.
he was the pitcher for the Dodgers. He was great.
I would have to say for me, Dave Zinkoff. That's just an obvious choice if you're a Philly guy, you know, just obvious choice.
Irving. I mean, I don't.
Yeah. They kind of gave him free reign to do what he wanted, you know.
Yeah, I applied for his job. He was let go after the 1980 season, and that's when I first started my job at WSBA York, and they let him go after all those years, the Zink. And they auditioned people. I went down to the Spectrum and auditioned for that job. It's probably like September of 1980, the Zink, and I didn't get the job, and I was better than the guy that got it, a disc jockey, High Lit.
And is he still there? That was 40 years ago.
I lasted 1 year, 80-81, the year we blew the 3-1 lead to the Celtics, the Sixers.
He lasted 1 year.
He lasted a year, High Lit. Then they brought the Zink back.
Well, I was talking to John Velios earlier. He thinks you belong at ESPN.
Who?
John Velios.
Me?
Or something along those lines, you know?
I could probably do it. Yeah, but, you know, I'm pretty happy with what I'm doing now. And I like doing the podcast. I have my CMP radio show.
You got a great wife that you would have. You'd have to drag her all over the country if you got one of those high-end national, you know.
Yes, honey. I always talk to her. It'd be tough to be a professional. I'd be out of town all the time, but I would bring her along.
Plus, you wouldn't be able to go to the shore.
You don't only work part-time.
Avalon, big Avalon guy.
Still playing hoops, Joe. I wish you could join us sometime. You're young.
I can't. I'm not that young. I have a bad back, bad hip. I walk every morning though, like long distances. So I mean, I'm still active. But how about any favorite broadcasters, play-by-play or analysis?
Stu Nahan, Flyers. Loved Harry Callis. By some Bill Campbell, right now I love listening to Scott Fransky and LA on the radio. They are great. Turn the TV down. Listen to those guys on the radio.
How about did you like Howard Cosell?
Howard Cosell.
See, I liked him.
Cosell.
It goes without saying he was very polarizing. A lot of people hated him.
As a fellow Jew,
I think I was just going to say, I think a lot of that had to do with that he was Jewish.
Well, get out of here.
I think that a lot of people didn't like him because he was Jewish. Absolutely.
Why is that?
Well, we're not.
Everybody likes me, and I'm a Jew.
Well, this is a different era too, Dave.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're talking 50, 60 years ago when Cosell was doing it. That was one of the best books I've ever read, though. I Didn't Play the Game. You ever read that book?
No, I haven't.
You have to get the book. I Didn't Play the Game. Autobiography. Phenomenal.
I'm trying to get caught up with my other books here. Announcers, Bill Campbell, who announced Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game March 2nd, 1962 at the Hershey Park Arena.
How about Joe Garagiola?
He
was good, wasn't he? That was Monday Night Baseball. It was Cosell, Garagiola, and who was the third there for the?
It was Tony Kubek.
Tony Kubek, yeah.
Isn't
it amazing how
amazing time flies?
Well, how live professional sports has kind of transformed into, like, you'd sit around and wait for Monday Night Baseball. Okay.
Oh,
And that was such a big deal. And now there's 5 games that I don't even have like one of those really extensive sports packages, but I can watch 5 or 6 baseball games every night. Kind of takes a little bit of the flavor out of it, I think.
I follow a lot of stuff online. My wife, honey, what do we have again? We don't have cable, do we? Roku, it's called.
Yeah, I have Roku.
And there's a lot of stuff like on YouTube, and it's so cool. Your shows are archived on YouTube also.
My shows?
Going to be these shows.
They're going to be. It's live on YouTube right now.
Live on YouTube right now. So
at the same time, yeah. We're kind of trying to enhance our offerings. Do some things a little. Losing Bill Bostic, he retired a few years ago. That was a big loss, Dave. Bill did a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. Well, actually, he was in front of the camera too with me a lot of times. But man, that guy was just talented. He was funny, great sense of humor, kind. He knew how to do the technology piece, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to go on move forward without him, but we're not kind of as good as we used to be when it comes to certain things, graphics on the screen. And I mean, I've been talking about getting this podcast started, and it really wasn't that hard once I kind of dug in, but I just not having Bill, we would have started this 3 years ago if I still had Bill.
Well, it's great to have you on a couple of our shows, Tyro and Rick's. Hopefully you can join him again.
Yeah.
My Pete's down here with the Delaware County, Chester, and the Central Pennsylvania connection with sports. There's a lot there that you bring to the table. And Brian Carson from Mifflin County. I know Mifflin County people are probably checking in tonight and your show because they know all about Joey Gilloway.
Well, there's not many of us, and there's some really good ones, and you're one of them. But I was trying to figure out what I wanted to say just in a few sentences about you and what you do and what you bring and what you offer. And I came up with you're woven into the fabric of high school sports, and there's a lot of value in that, Dave. I know I sound like I'm kind of stroking you here, and it's not because you're my guest tonight, and it's not because you're my friend. It's just because you're woven into the fabric of high school sports. And if I need a public address announcer, John Velios called me probably 3 years ago, and you were doing basketball games by yourself. That's hard, man.
DelcoHoops.com.
DelcoHoops.com.
Yeah, pretty much. I was doing
by yourself.
Yeah.
You were doing analysis and play-by-play.
Basketball's a little bit easier. Football.
I don't know how easy that is to do it all by yourself, though.
Yeah.
John either called me or texted. He's like, "You got to turn on," and he told me, where to go. I guess it was online, and he's like, "Dave Burman's on, and he's really good," And I put it on, and you do a great job,
Well, Frank, and I like sharing the history with people. Because I'm on that newspapers.com subscription. Unfortunately, the Harrisburg Patriot's not on there, but the Carlisle paper is. I can get the Lebanon paper, Lancaster Joey, Chambersburg. That's why I get a lot of these stories that people never saw before from the Harrisburg area. They're being covered in those papers. So I like sharing that. Nice picture of me and Jim Sinkovitz work together.
Yeah, man. Yeah. He's one of my best friends' father-in-laws, Jim Sinkovitz is. And
I saw you put the picture up on your page.
Yeah, from what I hear, he was a great what did he do? Just news, right? It wasn't sports, it wasn't weather. I think he was news, yeah.
News.
But supposedly he's as nice of a guy as he was a newscaster.
Great guy, Greg Macy passed away. Pat Principe just retired. Channel 8. We have just a lot of old. John Repitz. I think he's still on there. I think Channel 27. You remember him? And
oh yeah.
So we could go on and on.
So what we're going to do here, Dave, is I'm going to thank my sponsors.
Right.
I'm going to thank you now, and then we're going to do something else. Though I can't let you go before we're going to save this for last, and I'm not going to spoil it. But you could come back on the show, even if it's not just you and me. So a lot of times we're going to get 3 or 4 guests at the same time and kind of let it rip, man. Get some people that really know. And if anybody is watching at home and you like high school sports and you have a little bit of a clue about it, you don't have to come with a whole lot. You don't have to be a Dave Burman, okay? We want people that are willing to do it, man, to get on here, talk some sports, and it's not easy to fill 52 podcasts in a year's time, without maybe meeting some new friends, bringing some new faces on here. So anyway, we want to thank once again Rickabaw's Electric. Dan Rickabaugh really helped us out through the softball season. We covered the whole softball season. What a blast that was. The Stumps, Warren and Logan Stump from Capital Region Insurance Agency, Larry Bragg from Payer Apparel, Tony from Tonino's Pizza, the guys at Tire Mart, Greg. We want to thank Greg at Tire Mart, Dave Smith from Hoffman Ford. He's our lead guy there, kind of our conduit to the owners at Hoffman Ford. He's been with us from the beginning. Gabby and Alec from Ted's Bar and Grill, Mike from Modern Imprint, Coach Sam Hartley, softball coach at Central Dolphins, Sam Hartley Decking, Steve Federoff from Freedom Financial Wealth Management, Bob Gert from Hershey Abstract Settlement Services, everybody from Lingelstown American Legion, Post 272. They're kind of our lead sponsor right now. They've done so much for us over the past couple years. They lend us their space. We got some great space. Dave, you'd love it there. Underdog, George and Jen from Underdog, Crystal Bob from Howard Hanna Real Estate, and Greg Cavoli from Team PA AAU Basketball. Every now and then I like to slow down there and thank everybody individually, the owners or general managers or operators, because we have some great, and you might be asking, why do you need more sponsors? You got a bunch, and we do have a bunch, and they don't leave us, but because we want to do some more things. We want to enhance our offerings, and that's why we always are looking for new sponsors. Anyway, Dave, have I ever asked you to do Keeping It Light? Do you know what Keeping It Light is?
Oh yeah, I remember with Kirk Smallwood.
Right.
What's your favorite?
Legendary.
Fish.
Legendary. That was one of the best episodes ever. Shout out Danya Moore. She's the one that she was kind of behind the camera going, ask him this. She wrote it down and held it up. And so we have what's called the Kirk Smallwood Keeping It Light question. And I'm going to start with that question for you.
Okay.
Favorite Girl Scout cookie?
Girl Scout cookie. Honey, see, I have to refer.
Let Brenda come in and help you out with that.
Help me out here.
I can tell you once you're done here, she can get in the screen. Yeah, I will tell you momentarily.
She look how photogenic she is too. He wants to know your favorite Girl Scout cookie. Just
like Thin Mints.
Thin Mints. Okay.
Thin Mints. Okay, that's kind of most people's favorites. Coach Kirk Smallwood likes the do-si-do.
Oh yeah.
He likes the do-si-do.
But I've learned to stay away from that stuff.
He did not hesitate. And the reason why that was such a classic, so legendary, because it wasn't going to be a question. Danya held it up, and I'm thinking, I don't want to ask him about Girl Scout cookies. And as soon as I asked him, he said, do-si-do, like immediately. So, all right. So how about favorite food? What's your go-to meal?
Favorite food. Historically, my favorite food was lobster.
That's what mine is. It really is.
Can't eat it anymore.
I'll be are you allergic?
Gout.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
I gotta watch seafood. I mean, I could take a chance, but
I don't think it's the lobster that gives you gout. I think it's the drawn butter.
No, I think it's. Well,
you think it's the lobster? Okay. I used to have gout. It's really terrible.
Obviously, a cheesesteak, a Delco cheesesteak.
Okay, yeah, I will be getting a cheesesteak down at Wildwood too. North Wildwood, Russo's Market. You ever hear of Russo's Market?
And that's so cool about your
9th Street. Yeah, man, Dave, thank you for taking an interest in that. He used to tell me, Dave, my dad was a lifeguard from the time he was 15.
North Wildwood.
North Wildwood. He lied on his application, said he was 18. He started when he was 15. He was saving people's lives at 15 years old. They came right out and told you this guy was involved in saving these people's lives. And I always thought he was kind of BSing me. You know,
the city newspaper. I got that from.
Yeah, that was great.
Say all those lives he saved. I probably more on.
So let's get two more here, and then we'll wrap things up. Let's get you some good ones here. How about celebrity crush? Did you ever have like a growing up or now? I shouldn't ask you that in front of Brenda, but if it's not a crush, like for me, I like Tatum O'Neal. When I was a kid, I loved Tatum O'Neal. or a celebrity you like to hang out with. It doesn't have to be a crush. Is there a celebrity you'd like to just go out and maybe have a beer
So it
with?
could be a guy, right?
Well, it could be a guy, yeah.
Okay, celebrity. Well,
You
crush,
could do the crush part if you want. It's up to you.
I see him he's on Facebook all the time. He won us 2 Stanley Cups. He's everywhere. Bernie Perron. I'd love to hang out with Bernie.
Oh my. He lives in Cape May, I think. I'm pretty sure.
He's all over the place.
He's got a boat down there in Cape May.
That would be nice I'd love to have Bernie like on my show.
Recovering alcoholic, Perron.
Yeah,
sober like 40 years. Yeah.
The Flyers, 2 Stanley Cups. They were goons.
Yeah. Yeah.
They beat the crap out of people. They drank a lot.
He is high on the Philadelphia sports legends, and he's held in such high esteem. Once you win, forget about it. You don't pay for another drink the rest of your life.
For me, it's more of a man crush, and my wife.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so we tied in crush with hang out with. Okay, so one more.
Larry, I tell you what, a guy I want to know though is Larry Bragg.
Larry Bragg's a good friend. I've known Larry since he was probably 12 years old.
He follows me on Facebook, and that guy's a beast.
Yeah, man. Great. He was a heck of a basketball
player.
He was a late bloomer, too, in basketball.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy was 6. I think he's 6'6" or 6'7". At least 6'5". I'm not sure. I should know. But he could handle the ball with the best of the guards. He was a great ball handler. Okay, here's the last one. And I'm only going to say this because I started with calling you a sports junkie. I think most of what you do in your life outside of work and hang out with Brenda and go to the shore involves sports. What are your other hobbies or pastimes? Is there anything else you like to do
besides sports?
Besides sports, yeah.
Joe, you know me. I love my oldies music.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Talked about that before. I like groups of just you, and you share I think on your Facebook page you share some of those songs.
Yeah.
Talking about, but I go back to the '60s, and the Delphonics.
Yeah, I like the R&B stuff. I just shared High Energy. Do you remember High Energy? Not Energy.
Yeah, but who sang that song?
They were the group. It was a 4-girl group. They were kind of a later Motown. They were signed on the Motown label. You Can't Turn Me Off.
What about Kashif? You remember Kashif
Of course.
Those were the days.
He was a big producer too. He was one of the top producers.
So music. I mean, but I like. My wife always asks me what kind of music I like. I mean, I like one of my favorite rock, and I call them classic rock, is Electric Light Orchestra.
Me too. Jeff Lynne, one of the most talented musicians of all time.
Go Down. That was a great. That might be my favorite from ELO. Yeah. So.
That's funny you mentioned Kashif because not many people knew who he was. He was kind of, I guess, his like real hardcore, more ardent fans would probably disagree, but he was more of I thought like a one-hit wonder. But the one song he had was
"Baby Don't Break Your Baby's Heart."
Oh, okay.
Remember that one?
I don't know if I remember that one.
Yeah, check that one out.
Lover Come Turn Me On.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That was
Lover Come Turn Me On. I've just got to have you. Yeah. So, okay, well, that was a lot of fun, Dave.
Yeah.
That wasn't hard at all. There was a method to my madness bringing you on first. First, I admire what you do, and I think you do a great job. But I also knew that it would be easy to carry. Dude, we've been going for an hour and 23 minutes.
Wow. Yeah, we
got
a
long time.
Start, but yeah.
We're not going to put any time constraints on this podcast lengthwise. Some of them might be a half hour. Some of them might be an hour and a half. So once again, the voice of Delco, Dave Burman, woven into the fabric of high school sports in Delaware County and beyond, Mifflin County, Dauphin County, Cumberland County had a very important
Chester County. Yeah. So, Dave, we really appreciate it. Tell Brenda Jean that we said thank you for kind of joining us there. And she's back in the background, but yeah, she's always welcome to join us. So I'm Joe Gilloway, Lingelstown Gazette Sports. We'll see you next Tuesday with Luke Brown, recent Camp Hill grad who does a great job in the sports
public address announcing, more broadcasting for Luke. So thank you, Dave. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, Joe.
Yep, you bet.